afternoon, I'm Raylene Ramsey. This is your afternoon news fix for Tuesday, the 28th of November. The water infrastructure sector is warning the government it needs an adequate replacement for three waters. Water New Zealand says any new plan will require the same scale and efficiency. Chief Executive Gillian Blythe says $185 billion investment is needed in the next 30 years to upgrade infrastructure. She says the government needs to be clear.
We need to be able to invest and ensure we have a well-defined, committed, funded pipeline of work.
And Lower Hutt's mayor is calling for urgent reform of water management. Wellington Water's been crying out for more funding for years, partly to fix ageing and leaky pipes. Campbell Barry says without significant reform, councils can't keep funding the Water Authority. Just a day since he was sworn in as Deputy Prime Minister, Winston Peters is already throwing out accusations. Political editor Jason Walls has more.
Tell the public what you signed up to get the money. That's called transparency.
Peters made that comment in the Cabinet room this afternoon in front of Chris Luxon and all his new ministers. It comes after yesterday he accused reporters of being bribed by the $55 million Public Interest Journalism Fund.
One eligibility to apply for the fund was committing to Te Tiriti o Waitangi and to Māori as a Te Tiriti partner. The new health minister isn't mincing his words over the state of the sector he's now responsible for. Shane Reti says despite the goodwill of the sector, it's fundamentally broken. He says it's going to take some time to turn the ship around. Reti says the workforce is the priority.
We'll get deeply into that across a range of modalities as to how we can recruit, how we can retain, how we can build that long pipeline into health. That'll be a first objective. And then around that, of course, we've got our 100-day plan.
The Thoracic Society is joining calls for the government to reconsider its plan to repeal legislation meant to reduce smoking. The repeal would help fund tax cuts. The Society's Paul Dawkins says the legislation would have saved about 5,000 lives each year and save $1.3 billion over 20 years.
It's going to cut mortality in women, 22% over that time period and 9% in men. So it's going to make a huge difference.
Murderer David Tamahiri's lawyer says developments since his 1990 trial point to a miscarriage of justice over the death of two Swedish tourists. His case is being heard in the Court of Appeal. His lawyer says a big part of the conviction was evidence from a now discredited jailhouse informant. A trio of fence-hopping kakapo have been relocated from a Waikato sanctuary. Sanctuary Mountain Mangatautari, Dock and Ngaitahu are temporarily sending the flightless birds to Fiordland, leaving 7. Dock's Deirdre Verco says their theory is the birds were breaking out of jail, catapulting themselves over the fence using vegetation. To sport, and the Chiefs have signed up 3 Black Ferns from other Kiwi franchises for next year's Super Rugby Opiki as they look to go one better than last year. Wolves manager Gary O'Neill is in despair at football's VAR after a 3-2 loss to Fulham in a match dominated by contentious penalties. Another NBA record for LeBron James. James has ticked past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for total minutes played in the league. Abdul-Jabbar's record has stood at 66,297 minutes. I'm Raylene Ramsey. That is your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update tomorrow morning from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.